Morning, everybody. How are we doing? It's Connor, but we're back here at not really One Leeds HQ, but McGilligan HQ. What is going on? How are you all doing? How's your bank holiday been? It's gone quick, hasn't it? It's gone very quick. Before we start the stream, everybody, as we always ask on the channel, please make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribe. And if you'd like some bonus content, articles, videos, etc., click the link in the description below. You will find Patreon there, everybody. It is well worth it. Get involved. So yeah, we'll put all the proceeds on that as well. Everybody goes to the run of the channel, which can be rather expensive. So thank you so much to all of your support. Darren, Steve, and Niall, who joined over the weekend. Shout out to all of you guys, and let's be providing that content on there. Don't you worry. We've done a little bit of a Manor Solomon breakdown and why it'd be a good sign-in, the pros and cons on the Patreon right now if you guys are interested in your article stuff. I know you're getting a little bit sort of bogged down with certain other article, news sites and stuff like that right now. So head on over there if you want a bit of a fresh look at things. Shout out to Paul, who's in the building. Pete's in the building. Roland Wolf, hope you're well. Hi, mate. How are you doing? James D says, great counterpoint stream. Thank you so much. I was just over on the Just Joe channel doing our counterpoint. Good morning, Connor, says Brett. Nice little update on the profile picture, mate. How are you doing? All good, my friend. All good. Norm's in the building. Richard as well. Leeds United community. Morning, Connor. How you, mate? So yeah, loads of people discussing the recent sort of discussion when it comes to Solomon, and we're going to speak about that. We're going to be speaking about Cabal as well, and we're also going to be speaking about Ilias and Roland Sallai. And what we're going to be doing here on the channel, everybody, throughout the week. It's a big working week for me. We're going to be streaming throughout the week updates, and it looks like Leeds are probably going to be bringing in 3, potentially 4 signings, of which we will break. We'll do player profiles, we'll do your articles on Patreon and all that sort of good stuff. So you'll have all of your vibes over here as well. So Rossi, you can see you in the building there, mate, has said, Max Aarons. I guess let's start on that, Rossi. To be honest, Max is someone who I just can't see Leeds going down that route of. I think it's a little bit of a wind up when you're seeing people talk about it. It makes absolutely no sense from a business standpoint, from a positional / transfer standpoint for Leeds United. I can't see that getting done. It makes no sense. He's not going to be a rotation player, and then you've also got Bogle on there as well, who's on that right hand side. If they are to get that done, it kind of makes sense, I guess. But in a sense of, you've got a replacement fullback, but where does he play? He's not going to come and do a Jed Spence and play on that left hand side because he's rarely going to be played above Firpo. And on that right hand side, you brought Jayden Bogle in, so I just don't really see that as something that is happening. Jack says Graham Smythe just confirmed he's someone Leeds are looking at. He might be. I've looked at many things in my life. Doesn't mean we're going to be getting him. No, I don't think that happens. It doesn't make sense. And I know for a fact there was a few questions from the Max Aarons camp. I shouldn't say. You guys know I've got a few Norwich connections down there. There was a few discussions last window when it came to playing time with Aarons. He wanted guarantees here, there, and everywhere. And now that he's been to Bournemouth, I understand that he's an ex-Farker player, but he's not got a lot of minutes down there either, has he? So if he's going out for minutes, he's not going to get him ahead of Jayden Bogle unless he plays on the left-hand side, of which I would much rather have Firpo on the left-hand side of a back four than someone like him. Another one that I wanted to speak on is Phil Billing as well. I can see a lot of you guys in the chat now. There's a few rumours that have come out about Phil Billing over the weekend, which is so interesting. Billing, obviously formerly of Huddersfield Town, now moved to Bournemouth and has been at Bournemouth for a while now. And oh my God, if we got that's the difference between promotion. That is the difference between promotion. If you can get him, and this is the whole conversation with Ilias and Leeds United, as we know, Football Insider ran a report on that, and I think that was stemmed a lot from these QPR sources, which were saying, and I mentioned this yesterday, that Leeds were looking at Ilias, and I fully believe he'll be part of a shortlist. He was part of a shortlist last summer, like we know. Leicester went in for £6 million, but Leeds sort of 360'd on the fact that Rutter was going to be our number 10 for the season, and then obviously we didn't go over the Ilias thing. But even from the QPR side last summer, Leeds were heavily interested in him. So is that going to be a thing again? We'll have to wait and see. As I've mentioned with Leeds United, he's not just going to be sort of zapped off a short list. I still fully believe that he's going to be there, and it's just whether or not we can get a deal like that done. But if you're comparing him, because I think with Billing, There's an argument that you could put him in a double pivot, and he's played there. Obviously, he's played there in the Premier League. But as a 10, you could put Billing in as a number 10, and he'd be atrociously good. He would be so good at this level. You can keep him fit. Massive player. 6'3", 6'4", would help Leeds from a set piece capacity as well on another level. And I just think at the Championship, someone like him would be a monster, an absolute monster who would be able to galvanise Leeds into those top 2 positions. He's a statement signing. And what do we know from Phil Billing when it's come to rumours? It's very, very lax right now. It's not like there's, credible things coming out, but there's been a few iterations from that Bournemouth side that Championship clubs at the upper end are looking at him. So, yeah, that'd be an unbelievable signing. And if you're asking me, Billing or Share, if you're looking at that number 10 position, because I know Billing is a little bit more of a double pivot, but he definitely played in an advanced state for Huddersfield and was damaging. Wow, what a player that would be. Jack says Billings, Share and Aarons, can we dream? I don't think Billing would come in with Share. I think it'd be one or the other, to be honest with you, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. The Solomon update. Let's get on to Manor Solomon. He is the player that Leeds United have been looking at this moment in time. And what do we know when it comes to the latest on his signature? Well, I will present probably the latest thing which is out there, everybody, right now, which is this little thing, the last on words on Spurs, I should say. So, Justin, Manor Solomon's loan move to Leeds United is now uncertain. Solomon has completed his medical, but there are significant differences between the clubs. Talks are ongoing between both parties. The player's camp does not rule out additional options before the player closes. And this is from Shlugassi as well, who has been pretty decent when it's come to the sources. So, yeah, I mean, what does that signify? Well, to me, that signifies that Levy is doing what Levy does, which is probably making the deal as difficult as possible. Will he start engineering the deal to go on right toward the back of the end of the window, so certain assurances are met? I would expect that 100%. So the medical's been done, which is great. And it's what we heard yesterday. We obviously had a few issues when it came to mindset around that because of meniscus problems that have happened for 3 out of 5 years of this guy's career. Him averaging 15 games in the last 5 years. We knew that potentially there was going to be issues with the medical. But what did we know with Spurs? Spurs are probably turning around this season and going, do you know what? We'll keep hold of him. Don't want to lose him as a transfer. We know he's got potential. We bought him. We got him from Fulham as well. And they saw the damage that he did in certain periods with Fulham. We saw obviously his potential at Shakhtar Donetsk as well. And they've turned around 100%. And in my opinion, with this thing, Leeds have maybe found something in the medical, which will be pretty obvious what that history will be when it comes to his meniscus. Potentially, they've flagged it, which you would expect. We know with Mickey Cuisance as well, when Leeds flagged an issue with him when it was the whole deal with Marseille, I believe it was, wasn't it? Him coming to Leeds United in that period, Leeds flagged something in his medical and weren't happy with it. And potentially you've got a big loan clause there as well. Now, what we have to remember, Jed Spence had his problems with injuries, as we know, before he came to Leeds United. He came to Leeds United and Leeds United had a £1 million loan clause that they paid Tottenham Hotspur, everybody. Yeah, let me say that again. £1 million that Leeds United lost out on. Obviously went back in January, played right back, I think, for a game or two. And the rest of the time, he was either subbed on by the manager or started at left back very infrequently. So it wasn't anything which you could get excited for when it came to Jed Spence, but Leeds were pushed into a position where we needed a right back and we paid £1 million for that loan for barely any minutes. And this is the thing with working with Levy, and I have no idea whether or not Leeds United managed to get a good move when it came to negotiation with Archie Gray. In Levy's eyes, would Levy have liked to have paid less? Would he be like to be getting a little bit more leverage on this loan deal with Leeds putting certain clauses in there, certain bonusing bits? But from what we understand, a lot of it is as well from Manor's camp. But we know that this is going to be a tough negotiation with Daniel Levy. It always is with Tottenham Hotspur. And what did Parag say? These deals are his wheelhouse. So let's wait and see if we get this one done. But my prediction is that maybe Leeds don't get this one done because it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And we have 4.5 days to complete signings now. So it's a big period of time for the club. Would I be absolutely downtrodden and upset and disheartened if we didn't get Solomon? I wouldn't really, especially if we had other options there. I'm not really down and on Twitter checking if he's signed for us yet. I'm really not. I'm very much of the, well, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, I'm all right with that. There are other targets which we'll move on to when evidently Leeds are in the market right now. And if Leeds are in the market right now, players are going to be coming in. You know, we've seen that and we've heard that. And even if you listen to Graham Smythe this morning, or Graham Smith, however you want to pronounce it, there we go. Morning, Connor lads. Says MW. Connor says walk away. Rich is in the building and says, didn't they report yesterday Solomon had failed a medical? No, they didn't, mate. I think that was just some obvious rhetoric behind the fact that he'd had 3 major injuries in 5 years in his meniscus, and it seemed to follow a pattern. But he passed his medical, stated Paul O'Keefe, who's a very, very, very good source from the Tottenham side. And he's actually the one who broke the Manor Solomon stuff right at the beginning. He said by yesterday morning, he heard it had gone absolutely swimmingly well. But toward the back end, and he was doing his medical yesterday morning, according to several reports. But in the evening, this is maybe where all this negotiation stuff has transpired. And you know, apparently clubs are doing that a little bit more frequently nowadays, where a player will pass their medical and still negotiations are going on after that, which I find staggering. I always think the medical is almost the end point and then you sign for a club. But apparently now clubs are putting clauses, they're putting bonuses. If you pass your medical, oh, well, okay, now we can negotiate as well, additional bits. And maybe that's what's happening now from the Tottenham side. Or maybe Leeds United are saying, look, we found this issue. He's passed his medical but what we want you to do is take away that loan clause of which you're going to pay £1 million. Or what do we know about his wages? We know Leeds are paying a significant portion of his wages. How much does he earn at Tottenham Hotspur? 60 grand a week on a 4-year deal. So when I hear significant, significant to championship standards was the correct wording. So if it's significant to championship standards, you're probably looking at plus 30 grand initially. I was thinking of the upper end of that, maybe sort of 40 plus, which it could be. But when you hear championship standards, but that bar has definitely gone up with the amount teams are paying on players' wages and all this sort of stuff nowadays. So how much are we going to be willing to pay on wages of a guy who's coming on loan, obviously, who's not featured that heavily really for Tottenham Hotspur? So we're going to have to get him up to match speed and match fitness, of course. So he's not going to be playing straight away for Leeds United guys. You can get that out your head. But also the amount of money that we're going to be spending on him if it's significant wages. And we know it's been freed up. We know we've got money for Rutter and we know we've got money for Somerville and when it comes to wages. But you know, do you want to spread that around the squad a little bit? And does that mean that maybe another signing, so let's say a Roland Sallai, is off the table? Is that what that means? And that would make a lot of sense for me, because if you're to bring Roland Sallai to Leeds United, you're going to have to offer him big wages. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So let us know what you think in the comment section below there, everybody. But you were expecting that Sallai deal when it comes to the latest. There's been nothing else from the Leeds United side. Obviously, we've done a bit of a profile on Roland Sallai before when it's come to 6 foot tall, attacking midfield, right midfield, Hungarian international. Has had some massive clubs looking at him. You know, Gala, you know what? Barcelona have apparently looked at him previously as well. A fantastic player, of which if we get into championship level will be the sign of the window, 100%. Very similar to the line of, you know, looking at Phil Billing and bringing him back down to this level. So, yeah, I think we've just got to be a little bit careful when it comes to the spread of these wages. But when we're looking at the wages, everybody, and we're looking at negotiation complications, if Leeds have found something in this medical, if Leeds have found something, we might not be talking about Daniel Levy here. We might be talking about Parag Marat, who's turning around and going, we found this in his medical. We're not paying 30, 40 grand a week. You want him to go on loan. Manor Solomon doesn't want to leave the country, which is what we know right now. He doesn't want to go to Getafe. He doesn't want to go to any other clubs because he's just, well, apparently, according to the Spurs side of things, he's very recently found his place in London, and he's very, very happy there. So he wouldn't move up to Leeds from what you understand, but the links are absolutely fine nowadays. We know that from a transport perspective. But everything's fine for him in London. He's enjoying life down there, and he doesn't want to move, according to his camp. But we've got to be really, really careful here on how far we go with Manor Solomon. And the reason being is because Spurs are using us as a testing ground here. They're not willing to sell him, but they're using us as a testing ground. Can he stay fit for a certain portion of time? Can he do what Joe Rodon did, where he'd been out to France, didn't play that many games when he was out on loan to Rennes, I think it was, came to Leeds United and played 50-plus games. Can Solomon do that? And if Solomon can do that, then they'd either sell him for a pretty penny or they'd keep him on the books at Tottenham Hotspur. So, yeah. Brett says, could you please make her day and say hi to Patricia? Patricia. Hi, Patricia. I need to start doing cameos, don't I? Hope you're all right. Shout out to you as well, Brett. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section below, everybody, to the rumours. If we stop paying his wages, if the existing fault is knee, so stops him playing, yeah, 100%. Sam says he still thinks these owners are absolute frauds. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see on the end of that one. And this is an absolutely fine point there. Jack Archie Gray passes Brentford medical, and he did. It was signed, sealed, and delivered at Brentford. They were bantering us. We had all the conversation, the discourse about that, didn't we? About how he's leaving to go to Brentford, and then Tottenham last minute came in. And it could be, we could be looking at a situation right now where you've got another Championship club in the mix and Leeds are having to offer more money. So it could be from both sides here. But for me, if there's a lot of people who are maybe insinuating it's going to get done today, I don't think this deal gets done today, especially if there's complications between two rough negotiators in Parag and Daniel Levy. Nah, I don't think this one gets done today. It's a huge risk buying Solomon. I'd stick to a loan to get us up. Yeah, I'd agree, Roland. I think that's what they're initially thinking. Ruby says, Connor, please start doing cameos. Would you guys be interested in me doing cameos? I do get a lot of messages asking me to say happy birthday to people. So if that is something that you'd want me to do, then let me know. Lazo says, on the money, Connor, if Spurs are paying most of his wages worth, they go too much risk for us otherwise. And that's the thing. It's a lot of money, isn't it? And this is where I genuinely believe that Leeds are maybe just going to bring in, if we've got Nonso in the 10, Solomon on the left, Ramazani on the right, Joseph up top, I think that's us done. Which I'm not. I don't know, everyone. I don't know. I'd still be looking at a 9. And I think we'd miss out if we didn't bring in a 10. I just don't think. I think with Nonso, the thing we've got to look at as well is the spell out he had for Leeds United last season. And that worries me. It really worries me from a technical level. If he is out of this Leeds United side, and if you've got Solomon, who has averaged 15 games over 5 years, who is, if you're basing it on patterns and trends, and he had surgery last year, has barely had any matches under his belt. Ange was saying as of the 24th of April that he doesn't know what's going on with his knee and they can't seem to rectify the issue with a world-class physio department at Tottenham. They're sending him to Leeds for a trial. It's like, okay, can he stay fit? So that's where I'm a little bit worried with this. So you've got Nonso, who broke down last season injury-wise, and you've got Solomon in the ranks, who is just an injury walking. If they leave it at that, love the Ramazani signing. But for me, even if you've got Aronson there, even if you've got Peru there, I'd worry about Leeds breaking down a low block, of which we're going to face more of this season. We didn't face that against Sheffield Wednesday. And you've got that lock picker. Who is that then? If you've got Willie out injured, is it just going to be all on Ramazani? I just think we look a bit light there. I think we look a little bit light if that is just the target. And I think Leeds will make a little bit of a mistake and maybe take... Look, we look at Sheffield Wednesday and we think, wow, what a result. And it was a brilliant result. But then you look at the week before against West Bromwich Albion, where we really struggled to break them down. And that is what you're going to come up against. Not as good as West Bromwich Albion, of course, but for the majority of this season, I'd be surprised if Hull came to try to take Leeds on. Burnley are going to come to take Leeds on, but other games that we've got coming down the line in this championship sphere, they're going to come up against Leeds and they're going to sit. They're going to sit in a low block, a mid to low block. You have to have your Ramazanis, you have to have your Solomons, you have to have your Willie Nyontos available every single week, every other week to be able to break these teams down. Look, guys, we all know what it's about. We all know what you need in these situations. And I just think Leeds can't be naive here to not go out and get a 10. Yeah, for me, we need something else. We need another technically gifted player to really break down that low block. And I don't think Aronson's technically gifted. James isn't technically gifted. Perot is technically gifted, but there's too many deficiencies with his game at the moment. His all-round game, but confidence as well. I just think you are very, very, very reliant on Ramazani, Nonso, Solomon if he came in, and Joseph. And there are a few issues there. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you think I'm wrong with that, everyone? Let me know in the comment section below. Rich says, definitely would sign Share and Luba if we can, and a fullback. Yeah, so many great names in the Eredivisie that we could get on the cheap to back up Joseph. Yeah, on cheap wages as well, really cheap wages. What about that dude at Cologne? Yeah, Jamie, he scored another 2 at the weekend. Did Jubicic, Dejan. So anytime we seem to be rumoured to him, he has a barnstormer of a game. So we had a really good game the other day. I think the only thing with Jubicic is if it's a low block. This is my problem, everybody. Where were Leeds' deficiencies last season? Almost matching up at beating our XG, which I don't think enough of our players did, aside from Somerville and Rutter, really. So having a clinical nature about us, but also breaking down that low block, which I think we really struggled with last season. We really struggled with against with Bielsa's side. Never mind Farker. We struggled to break teams down. There are going to be so many teams. 90% of teams are going to come to Ellen Road and just sit and say to Leeds, go on then, try it. And that's what I think we need to address in this window is how do you get that player to unlock that? Because even Rutter and Somerville had struggled at points last season. So you got to think you've got to be able to do that. Abdul Rahman, hello, my friend. Sallai can play across the front line. Versatile international tall. It would be a coup for us. And the window's best sign in the championship. I'm praying it happens. Abdul Rahman, you bang on, mate. And shout out to you, mate. Really appreciate that. Abdul Rahman, met him at Wembley and always a key contributor to the channel. So thanks for that, mate. But yeah, I agree. I completely agree when it comes to Sallai. Sallai is one of those signings where you look at and go, pfft. And to compare to a domestic player, it's a billing. It's a billing level signing. So yeah, billing would be probably the top of the tree for me right now if I'm thinking about it. Let's have a look. Keep any comments in, everybody. But that's the sort of news that we're looking at the minute when it comes to Solomon. Unfortunately, I know some of you guys are really bugged by it. It's like, when's it happening? When's it happening? When's it happening? I know I'm seeing stuff like this at the minute, and I'll share this with you. It's quite funny. I'll share this with you right now when it comes to Leeds United looking at players. I think it's that one. It's this one, isn't it? So these are the flight paths. So the flight path, we've got a scheduled departure coming into LBA. It's a private jet from Bournemouth to Leeds tomorrow. So it is a bit unique, has to be said. Could that be a billing? Could it be a Max Aarons? Who knows? Who knows? We need Connor, don't we? We need Connor's mum. Not my mum. It's the Connor who broke the Ramazani stuff. James says, completely agree, Connor. To be honest, we need goals from midfields. We can't be too reliant on Nonto Ramazani, which is why Billing or Rothwell could be ideal over Gruev. I agree, mate, 100%. What price are we looking at? Says Rob T for Share. He's actually not been available for a lot of this season. He's had a back injury, he says. Definitely not arcing for a move there, but potentially not. Potentially he has just got a back injury, but there's a lot of people on the QPR on the side saying that he's maybe just looking at trying to move on here. And we've seen with the Somerville and other players who've had injuries, they've got to move pretty quickly afterwards as well. So I think that's why all the speculation down in London is increasing as well. But he'd be a lovely signing, a real lovely signing. Does more problems come with Ilias Share than it's worth? You know, we know what happened with Share last season when it came to the off the field issues. Is that something that you want in the club? Potentially not. But the Harlem Show says as well the transfer window closes at 30th, so not over yet. Guys, make sure you slap a like on the video. And there's over 2,900 of you in the building across all platforms here. Please make sure you slap a like on the video. Get your comments in the section below. I read every single comment. And Farker said he only wants 2 attacking players, so unfortunately Solomon will be it, but didn't have a 10 last season, and not addressing that profile will be wrong. I think the thing is, Chris, as well, if he wants 2 attacking players, that's fine. Ramazani, beautiful addition, really good addition. It's not him that I'm worried about. It's if you bring in Manor Solomon in, it's the injury record, and I can't get past that. You know, me and Joe were speaking, and Joe was saying, but it's the player, and he's right. The player's never on the pitch. So if in your last 38 games you've played 33, does that not worry everyone? Or is it just me? Like I know he has to pass a medical, and you know this is the conversation that we've got to be having, but missing 33 out of 38 games, April. Ange Postecoglou saying he doesn't know what's wrong with him. He doesn't know what's wrong from the medical team. They can't figure it out. 3 meniscus injuries in 5 years. Like I never saw. Me and my old man were on a walk yesterday, and I never saw this as a simple deal. There's got to be something that's shown up in the medical. There has to be, and that doesn't maybe mean that the transfer's done, But as I've said, something has to have shown up in that medical. It has to have done. Cartilage issue within that meniscus sort of area, just damage there in general. There's got to be scar tissue, something there, which Leeds have maybe turned around and gone, right, okay, well, look, we're willing to take a punt on him, which is that right? Is that right? I'm speculating here, by the way, not based on anything foundation-wise, but slight issue there when it comes to scar tissue, blah, 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 blah. Should we take a risk on him? Well, we'll take a risk on him, but I tell you what we'll do. He's too good for this level, but he is injury prone. But what we'll do is we'll go 10 grand down per week on his weekly wages. I will take that loan clause out, that loan fee. Sorry, that they've got to have done that, and this is where Levy won't have it. He managed to negotiate when Spence had been injured partly the season before. He managed to get a £1 million loan clause in the Jed Spence deal coming to Leeds United. Unbelievable. Unbelievably managed to. So I think maybe Leeds are saying, look, this is all kicked off after the medical. From what we know, the medical's gone through. The problem is the afterburner of what's going on now. And now in modern day football, negotiations carry on after medicals. So, yeah. Cole, this is true, but I think I remember hearing this a lot with Spence. If he's a loan, we can send him back, but we paid money for him, mate. Loans aren't just, we'll get him for free. We'll get him for free, and then we'll keep him around the squad. And if we don't need him, we'll send him back. It's never like that, mate. It's never like that. There's nowadays, especially when you're getting it from Premier League clubs, there is a loan fee involved. So the club misses out, and that goes against the books. Morning, Connor. Hey, Jav. Lee says, keep up the good work on the channel. Thanks so much, mate. Really appreciate that. Let's have a look. Filthy says, now Dallas has gone. Solomon can keep Bamford company in the changing room. But yeah, and this is it as well, Terry Farker. This is what I'd said. Farker doesn't like loans. And we know he was saying that at the end of last season. There's been so many iterations. And look on the pitch. Look on the pitch. Jaden Anthony barely got minutes. Spence barely got minutes. Connor Roberts barely got minutes. So he's not a massive fan of loans. So for me, I wish we'd go and get, I know it's not as simple as this, but I wish we'd go and get so he's got Ramazani in the permanent. I wish we'd go and get just 3 permanents. I know football doesn't work like that, and there might be an obligation to buy at the end. But I just wish we'd go out and get some permanents. And it just feels, there's a different vibe, I feel, when a permanent comes into a club. Everybody's raised up and the fans are raised up. With loans, it's like, yeah, okay, that's good, but they're not really our player, kind of, you know what I mean? So, but then again, you can look at the other stance on it. Ben White was brilliant for us. Rodon was brilliant for us last season. Gerrard's in the building. Hiya, mate. Robert T says, Aarons is a strange one. Surely he isn't coming back to play left back. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. I don't know if it's a bit of an agent leak, but why would Aarons come back? You've just signed Bogle, who I'm happy with, more than happy with, Jayden Bogle. Why would you go sign Aarons to play on the left? I don't know. Is Firpo going? I'm not sure. But then if Firpo's going, why would you bring a right foot? Why do we always have right footers? Why do we always have right footers playing on the left? Just go get a left back. Have balance along your back line. Insane. But I don't know why Roland Aaron's, not him, he used to play for Newcastle, didn't he? Max Aarons would come in. I don't understand that whatsoever. So I know Graham said that, but yeah, baffling to me, that one. Baffling to me. And would make no sense. And that's Ian said we still have Byram, and we do, Yabo says Aarons can play both. Would be awesome cover, but why would he come in as cover? He's cover at Bournemouth. He's cover at Bournemouth. He was playing week in, week out at Norwich. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. You can't, at a championship level, you've got to sell them the dream as well. You can't turn around to them and say, oh, you'll be cover for Junior Firpo and Jayden Bogle. I know you're coming down from the Premier League and we missed out on you last season, but you're coming for cover. I don't understand that, to be honest. Right, guys, well, we are going to leave it there. There's been about 3,000 of you in the building. Really appreciate your support. And listen, if anything comes out today, we'll be straight back on here doing a stream. Don't worry about that. But let me know what you think in the comment section when it comes to Roland Sallai, when it comes to Ilias Share, when it comes to Phil Billing. 3,000 of you now in the building as well across all platforms. Make sure you like. I want to see those likes up for 1.1, 1.2. Come on, it's free for you to do so. If you want article. If you want bonus, other bits, journalistic content, head on over to the Patreon. I'm really putting the grind in, everybody, so you guys can get a really good value for money. It's only £4 a month. Really appreciate it, and I will see you as soon as I hear something. Have a good one, guys. Cheers.